Now here's a strange paradox. Growth is incredibly important to the success of any business, and yet the facts show that only around 10% of companies ever manage to grow profitably for any sustained period. I call this strange fact the growth paradox, and it begs the obvious question, why? One of the reasons I'd suggest for this is that most companies make the same big growth mistake. To explore this issue further, I spoke to Phil Anderton, previously Global Brand Manager for Coke.
The idea that sort of one brand can satisfy all the emotional and functional goals that consumers have is fanciful. And of course, the consequences of taking that type of approach where you're trying to go after all of the purchases within a category is it's extremely expensive. So when it comes to shopping and buying, what we do to make our lives simpler is our brain buys on autopilot.
The facts show that we give these autopilot brands something like 75% of all of our purchases, but most importantly, we subconsciously screen out efforts by other brands to attract our attention and get us to switch.
What happens is, because of consumers' experiences with brands over time, the consumer will pick a small number of favorite brands with whom they will have generated a strong emotional bond. And then literally every time that they go and use that product or service, they are buying on autopilot. They're not thinking out loud, what am I going to buy? What am I going to use this time around? They're simply choosing it because it's born out of habit to keep everything as simple as possible.
Companies that don't understand this build complex and expensive commercial plans that just don't work. I'm Andy Brent. I'm a contributing editor for Hot Topics, and I've recently published this book, The Growth Director's Secret.